Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So today, going to be just covering up the ends of these cuts that we made on the work table sawmill, and then we're going to put these pieces of maple into the kiln. So today, a relatively cool day for this time of year. It's 17 degrees, but the temperature in the kiln is currently 54.7 degrees Celsius. That's 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and just a staggering difference in temperature. So I think that kiln is going to work pretty well. So let me get on with part one, paint the ends of these pieces. Part two, put it in the kiln. Part three, finish making, well, at least continue with the making of the shiplap to put on the outside of the kiln. That is today's adventure. So what I'm putting on the ends of this piece of wood is this stuff called Bullseye 123. It's not anchor seal, but it kind of serves the same kind of function as anchor seal in that this is intended to be a primer sealer that is for hard to seal surfaces, for woods that have odor or bad stains. This stuff goes on and dries up almost like a plastic over the end of over the surface to which it's applied. So it's a fantastic thing if you've got really hard to stain things, or hard to paint rather, where the underlying grain is going to show through. There's another product very similar to that called Sticks, which we have used in the past. Again, a really good sticky, it's not just your typical latex primer. This is a really good thick coating that prevents any penetration. Unfortunately, I don't have quite enough of that left. Been used up on other projects, but so I'm using this Bullseye 123. I have enough of it that I should be able to get through the ends of this. All right, I'll just flip these around and do the other end. Let's move the wood around while I do up this end. I'm amazed that this piece, although just a little bit more than twice as thick as these other pieces, this thing still weighs a frickin' ton. So that tells me that I've already had a lot of moisture come out of these lower pieces, these thinner pieces, but there's still a ton of moisture in this guy. So I'll be interested to see how this dries up, but man, it is heavy still. Okay, that's our pieces sealed. I'm gonna go put these out in the kiln. I'm gonna put this piece on the top. So I'm just gonna set him off the side while I get all these other pieces stacked up in the kiln. First, I gotta go wash out this brush. Okay, got our cloth draped over here. I do want to change that so it's not laying on top of this piece. So we'll make some adjustments to this in a bit. But air can now flow through the wood and up this side. It's our temperature sensor. Just going to put them down this end. And I'm going to put the little dehumidifier down at this end. So let me get this started up while I get some of those other pieces in place. Okay, the dehumidifier is installed and running, and all closed up, and let's see what happens. Current ambient temperature is 18 degrees, and the temperature in the kiln is 53 degrees Celsius. So let's just see how we do over a day with the dehumidifier running. And, oh, 55. It's warming up since I closed the lid. It's getting a little hotter. All right, I have swapped out the blade, the bandsaw blade, for my new 3/4 inch, 3-tooth per inch blade. I'm going to use this hopefully to mill the rest of this log into some shiplap, and then hoping to get my new 2-tooth per inch blades sometime next week. I'm not sure when that'll arrive. Solar kiln is still cooking away. We actually peaked here at 60 degrees Celsius, which is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. A little bit of cloud cover came in, so it's kind of dropped down to 54 again, but yeah, I'm amazed at how hot that gets. The outside temperature is just over 18 degrees Celsius, so about 66, 67 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere in there. All right, so I'm ready now. I've dropped the mill down to cut a 1/2 inch slab off that, so I'm ready to make that cut, but first, a bite of lunch. So here's our first piece of shiplap with the new blade, and this came out just incredibly fine cut. That's just amazing. I was running pretty slowly with this blade. There's the score marks that you can see going over that knot, but not much ripple or anything. That worked out really, really well. So I'm sure I could go a little bit faster if I chose to, but I am going to continue just running slowly for as long as I have this blade in the saw. No harm in going slow, it just takes time, but it'll preserve the blade for as long as possible. I know there's not much strain on the blade. I can tell that by the sound that the blade makes as it hits the bearings on the back of the guides. So I know that I'm okay with that. So I'm going to make one more slice and then cut these 2 slabs into some shiplap so you can see what it's going to look like. So I'll wind everything back and get ready for the next cut. So another cut complete. However, what I have learned is that there is definitely an issue associated with the clearing of the sawdust from the cut. So I had been running along the log from here until we got about here, and then the blade just bound right up in the motor and stopped. I'm not sure if that shows up on that little time lapse that we had going, but I had to stop the saw, back it up, and then run it through again. And I slowed the blade down for a little bit, then sped it up again, and had another bind up here, backed it up, and then restarted the blade, and just ran slowly from there on out. This sawdust that's here, I pushed forward, but definitely there is an issue where that 3 teeth per inch just cannot clear the dust fast enough. And as I'm getting a little bit thicker into the log, you know, the last cut was about 6 inches, this is about 8 inches. And it makes, seems to make quite the difference. So yeah, again, just really super anxious now to get that 2 tooth per inch blade to see how that clears the dust so much better. Anyway, I now have a second piece here that I want to cut. So we'll take the 2 pieces that we've got now, that we've cut off, and we'll make some shiplap out of it. I'm going to make these 3 inches wide. I think that's going to be the best use of the log and keep the shiplap from cupping too much. If I make them too wide, I think it'll cup. So I'm going to make 3 inch strips, and we'll make some shiplap out of that. So let me get the table saw set up and we'll make some cuts. So I put a straight edge on one edge of each of these pieces that we cut off our log. And what I'm going to do now is cut a 3 inch strip. I'm going to cut these into 2 3 inch strips that will then be used to make some shiplap. Now, as I go farther down the log, I could make them wider, so I might make a couple that are 4 inch strips. I can best use the wood that way. The benefit I've got is that the length of the box is just over a little over 6 feet. These pieces are a little over 4 feet. They're almost 5 feet. So, yeah, they're a little over 5 feet. So about 12 inches short, actually, of a full length of the box, of the kiln. So by mixing up the pieces, you know, I'll be able to get multiple strips. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Best utilization of the wood is what I'm getting at. So starting with a couple 3 inch pieces to get the best use out of this. There's some nasty cracks that come down on this edge, so I'll just be cutting that bit off. And I'm gonna have to move the camera because this piece is gonna knock you right off the stand. So I'm going to save this piece. I'll make probably some 2 inch or 2.5 inch out of this one. Obviously it's a little too narrow for a 3 inch strip. But with these now 3 inch strips, what I want to do is just make a little rabbet on one edge of it so that they can overlap just a little bit as they sit on top of the kiln. So I've set the blade to be 1/2 inch high just by setting the wood up against it. This is 1/2 inch thick, so I want to make sure it's, you know, that height. And then 1/4 inch from the fence, the inside edge of the blade, 1/4 inch from the fence. So run the wood through this way, run it through this way, flip it over and run it through this way because I want to have a dado on opposite edges so that the pieces can stack up one against the other. So I'll make all these initial cuts here first, then I'll flip the piece down, adjust the fence slightly, and then cut them out again just to get the height correct. So just take out that little pocket that we cut off. I hope that makes sense. So, pieces cut like that, our shiplap will just go together like so. And we'll have some nice siding all along the surface of the kiln. So that's the making of shiplap. I'm going to call that a video for today. Obviously lots more cutting to be done on the saw, on the log. I'll probably make another couple cuts off camera and then make up a little bit more shiplap as the same way that you saw this happen. So I can start putting some of that on. I'll try putting it onto the kiln almost as fast as I cut it off the saw, just so that I can eliminate any potential for warping or twisting or anything like that. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. A little bonus material. Here's the first two pieces of shiplap. First two rows of shiplap put on the kiln.